now, so it's on there. And okay, so we're recording. So just announce that. As I said, because we have to respect data privacy, then it doesn't get shared, only to the guest. And yeah, this is our 25th guest, so a bit of a milestone. So it shows that it's actually working and people are having fun. Actually, the more people that join, the harder it is for me to see you all on the screen. So yeah, it gets more difficult. I need a bigger laptop or get another camera and stuff. So for those that haven't been on, it's a weekly show. It's every Friday between 2 and 3 o'clock. We try to keep it within the hour. If you want to carry on afterwards, then that's entirely up to you. But we do finish kind of on the hour. But sometimes you can chat a little bit longer if you want. If you want to join early, there's always a bit of chit chat before. So that's just about getting to know the other people on the call. It's hosted. I'm basically the host that walks through kind of the guest, and the platform host is 𝗬𝗏, so it's in combination with 𝗬𝗏. So we have representatives from 𝗬𝗏 here as well. So we have Johan, who normally jumps in to ask questions, Ida and Victoria, right? And other people have been guests or like to be guests, as I said, and yeah, there's a couple of newbies on here as well. So without further ado, just to explain before people jump in, that the guest is about 10 minutes or so about the guest personally, who they are, where they come from, where they live, a bit about family background and stuff like that, just so we can build up a picture about them, so we can resonate with them, because it's always nice to know the person behind the business. And then the second part, we move into the business that they want to focus on. If they've got multiple, it's entirely up to them if they want to cover more than one, or if they just want to focus on one that's more their core business, or maybe even an idea. It's open to anyone, so you could be an entrepreneur, business owner, or even someone with an idea that you want to present within the group, and then just share kind of that and get feedback from the group. Typically after 30 minutes or so, we open it up to the audience, and that's when you can start asking questions. I won't ask all questions. I give you the opportunity. If I haven't asked the obvious one, then jump in and ask. If you want to share something or an experience or ask a question, it's up to you as well. And also for the guests to ask questions to the audience. Right, and I will help prompt that as well to make it interactive. Right, so without further ado, our guest this week is 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥. If you can pronounce your name, that would be easier for me. And then I'm just going to hand over to you. So Dirk, a little bit about you, and before we start, so don't talk about the business yet, talk about kind of your background, where you live, have you lived abroad, have you got family and stuff like that. Over to you, Dirk.
Okay, thanks for the introduction, James. I find it a bit exciting to present myself in this 𝗬𝗏 visibility impact. I've joined a couple of sessions now, and I have to say I'm quite enthusiastic about this. So well done, good job. And yes, I'd like to phrase one of your things you just mentioned, and that's the ideas. The ideas about ideas. Just keep that one into mind. I will come back to that later on. So who am I? Well, my name is Dirk. 𝗬𝗢𝗨𝗥. I'm 50. I just became 54 years old. That was well celebrated yesterday at the office when I came at the office.
Congratulations.
So, yes, thanks. I had to believe in a few things that I have to walk with her or later and things like that. And so it's such a car on wheels for old people. Just practical jokes. 54 years old. I'm married. I have 3 children. I'm married with a lovely wife called Lianne, and 3 children, 2 girls, 1 boy, and 20 years old, 18 years old, and 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you look so young. Sorry, you said you were 34?
54. Do you have to repeat it? Thanks. And I'm living in a small village in the south of Netherlands, near the province of Zeeland. If anyone knows, a small village of about 8,000 citizens. Well, in the Dutch, surrounded by Dutch dikes, so to say. I do a lot of sports. I'm a real sportsman. I've done all kind of team sports, and nowadays I'm rather fanatic in triathlons. So the quad triathlon, not the full Ironman, whatever. That's a bit too much. That would take too much time for me, and I enjoy that a lot. In addition, I also like very much sailing and windsurfing. So I'm a real guy for outside, going outside. And yeah, I have a busy life.
I mean, I lived in the Netherlands for 5 years. So, I mean, I know, I mean, with Dutch people, there's a lot of outdoor activities, and particularly sailing as well, which you think is odd, but there's lots of kind of man-made lakes and things to do sailing on. I remember lots of experience. I learned how to wakeboard there, actually.
Oh, wow.
So that was great fun.
Nice, yes.
Anyway, carry on. So you still do a lot of sports now?
Yeah. Especially, well, as there is during the crisis, you cannot join any. There are no matches. There are no. Normally, there are a couple of 5 matches a year that I like to join. One is with friends abroad. That's really great. About a group of 20 men. We go abroad. We find ourselves a triathlon match, and we go there for a couple of days. We have been in France, Germany, Swiss as well, Italy. So quite far away actually. Belgium, that's what closer to the Netherlands, but England as well, Scotland. So we visited quite some places to do these triathlons.
Yeah, but you drive everywhere.
Again?
You drive everywhere.
Yeah.
I've noticed in the furthest extreme of the world, there's someone's driven there from the Netherlands. There's always a Dutch car. Yeah. Anyway, you've got some Dutchies in on this call as well. So Victoria and 𝗪𝗓𝗪𝗧. I don't know who else is in the Netherlands. Maybe just those 2 as well. So you should connect with them. So do you also do the ice skating on the canals, on the when it's frozen over?
Opportunity is there. I certainly do, yes. But unfortunately, the last, let's say, 10, 20 years, there hasn't been that much ice in the Netherlands that you could skate on. Well, maybe once or twice, but it was only a couple of days.
So it's pretty safe then, or they really test that it's thick enough ice before you start venturing out there?
Yeah. Normally there are a few diehards who really go on the ice when it's really far too thin, and accidents happen.
Yes, yeah. I was never good at that. Yeah, I was bad
Like
enough.
Well, yes.
I was bad enough cycling around the Netherlands. I mean, cycling was tough as well. You have to look everywhere. You have to watch out for the pedestrians, then the cars, and then the buses and trams, and yeah, not so easy.
Where have you been cycling? In Amsterdam?
Well, only like to the city and back. I mean, and making sure that I locked my bike good and proper. The locks were actually more expensive than the bike.
Yes, really the bike, otherwise it's gone.
Actually, I was one of the only, I was proud that within 5 years, I was the only one that never had a bike stolen. And that's because the bike was so old. It's one of these pedal backwards to brake bikes. And the locks were like motorbike locks. And I always locked it to something that never moved. So I never had it stolen. And all my friends had dozens of bikes stolen. But anyway, we digress. So have you traveled around then in your career or in your personal life?
Yes.
And
a lot.
So typical places that you've been?
Yeah. Well, I've studied an important, let me start off like this. An important turning point in my life has been my internship in Paris. I started with an education as lab technician, and then there was an internship possibility in Paris, in the heart of the city, so to say, Quartier Latin. And well, it sounds very exciting, and I thought, I said, okay, I'll just give it a try. I went there. I didn't speak any French. I had to live on my own for the first time, living in a metropole like Paris. And well, it sounded great. But when I started there, and the lab also, that sounds very good. And when I started there, in the beginning, I really felt lonely. And it was mainly because I didn't speak French. And vice versa, the French don't speak English. And that was really an issue. And meanwhile, my nowadays she's my wife, but my girlfriend those days, she was left. She left, and she was left in the Netherlands. So that was a kind of separated relation. That was tough in the beginning, in combination with us not speaking French. But the professor at that laboratory, he noticed that I was struggling. And he said to me, well, I have one tip for you, and that's use English words, give them a French twist, whatever sounds good to you, and it works out. And remarkably, it did work out very well, actually. And I learned there that you have to take these risks and don't take it that seriously. And taking risks isn't that bad. And I also learned that way that I can do more. And one of the best things I learned there was simply just do it. It's a slogan of Nike, I believe. Just do it, but you really have to undertake. And what I liked about that period there, if I think about it, there was the steep learning curve that I had to go through. It was that steep and that exciting that I decided to go to the university. So I went back to the Netherlands and then started with the university. And after that, yeah, well, I got excited about science more and more. So the next step was actually that I applied for a PhD student position. And I started the career as a researcher on prostate cancer. And the subject was real classical gene hunting, genes involved in cancer. But that's rather a competitive field to work in, I found out myself. Science is great, but what disadvantage, as I experienced it, was the writing and reading. That's really tough. That's tough stuff. And as a researcher, I ended on a kind of island. I did great work, but I ended on a kind of island. And that's also something I experienced. Okay, this is not what I want. And on the other hand, the academic people are very bright people, but on one end, they are very naive, if I may say so. And the other end, they're extremely bright. So you really have to switch in between. And I also noticed that quite some ideas that people had were flushed away. That was at least that was my experience, and that I found very sorrow.
So how old were you at the time when this was happening?
30.
All right, okay. But your original studies at school and then university were to do with science?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, technical science.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And in France, I mean, obviously you learned how to speak French now.
Well, it has been 30 years ago, so don't challenge me.
Okay, so you speak French, German, English, and obviously Southern Dutch.
Yeah, yes, Yes,
Oh, I think Walter's going, so
I will.
see you later, Walter. Right. He's not going because of you. He's got another commitment. Right. So, yeah. So, kind of, you noticed even back then that, I mean, people had ideas, but they were never shared or never really discussed, and nobody ever really did anything with them. And you notice that a lot of people, even in conversations, whether it's private or down the pub or wherever, there's always a conversation about an idea or something that normally never materializes because it's just talk, and then you change the subject or move on or whatever the case. So even back then, so I mean, you're going back quite a few years, you having these thoughts about other people's ideas and nothing ever happened. But then kind of you using your background and your study, you went into kind of your first job, because I'm just looking at your background. I mean, it's molecular biology, genetics, life science, and stuff like that. So how did you get into that?
Engineer education that was on biochemistry, and the study on the university that was also biochemistry, and then went more into the direction of biology, and especially oncogenetics, so tumor biology. And well, that I found it very exciting. Just the subject and the possibility that you could help, for example, science a little bit further in the field of cancer, to solve cancer. But that's a big thought. That's really it turns out to be a very complex disease.
Yeah. Right. So you spent a number of different years in different kind of roles within kind of the science industry or sectors.
Yeah.
And you're currently at the moment employed by, maybe you explain what that is now, your current employment.
Currently, I'm a project leader within a company that works as a contract research organization. So we do research projects and development projects for pharmaceutical companies. So in general, they'll get to us and with a question they have. We're specialized in viruses that cause tumors, and nowadays we're drifting a bit away from that field, but that's what the company became big with. And well, pharmaceutical companies come to us with the question: can you detect this specific virus? And each virus has its specificities and characteristics, whether it changes on DNA level or RNA level. And on that level, we develop, for example, assays to detect these viruses and find if they mutate or not. Or customers are often interested, our customers at least, can we detect a virus and does it mutate? And the last question, and that's currently very actual, is if it mutates, is the medicine still working? Doesn't it escape from the effect of the medicine itself, especially for COVID now? Is the vaccine still appropriate in a couple of years? Doesn't COVID mutate that rapidly that we can't cope up with the vaccine? So that's really an issue nowadays, to find as soon as possible a vaccine and put it in the market.
So at the moment, you are working on vaccines for that, on behalf of pharmaceuticals.
Not me, but our company does.
Yes.
Is very much involved in this research.
Right. I know we could go down a path and talk about this all day long, but we're not going to go there. So we just wanted to know. So you've kind of been in this type of role for the last 16 or so years.
It's quite a while.
Yes. But in parallel, is kind of something that's been nagging you for a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is where we're going to move into now. So something that's completely different and goes back to what you said at the beginning about ideas. So let's transition now into that.
Okay, perfect. Well, as mentioned, in my career, as a scientist, I have your how to say that, you're dealing with lots of ideas, and people come to you with all kind of new solutions to solve a problem. And what I in the beginning found very annoying, especially at the university, is that the prof said, that's nothing. He could be right, but the fact that he up front already said, very soon said, this can't be right. And I thought, and I don't want to be right, but I noticed that in every idea, there is some kind of solution for a problem. And that if you are open for the other person and willing to listen what he or she's telling you, then you together, the both of you, you can work this out and come up with a very great concept. Okay? So you start with an idea, and only a small part of it could help you already with a step further in combination with someone else. So it's not 1 + 1 is 2, but 1 + 1 is 11. And if there's a third person to it, that makes 111. So it's a combination of people that makes it a very strong formula, to my point of view. So but important into that route is personal trust. If you don't trust each other and are not willing to listen, for example, or have different ideas, or simply, as I mentioned, do not trust one another, you won't make it very far. You really have to trust each other in that whole way of thinking, and only then, I think, then you have a very, very strong concept to get further.
So people like this. I mean, I like the fact that 1 and 1 doesn't necessarily make 2. And so you had this kind of mulling around in your head for quite a number of years, and then it was only when did you actually kind of map it out and think, well, I'm actually going to do something about it now. I've been thinking about it. It's been nagging at me for a long time, and now. But you also, before you did that, did you discuss it with friends or family and think, does this actually make any sense, or is it just me thinking differently?
Both. I discussed it with lots of people, with some people I trust. I have to admit it. People I trust, and the majority said actually, well, who will trust you to get this successful? Who do you think that will put his idea on the internet, hoping to meet someone else and to make it a success? And that was the comment I often got. But I thought, well, I'm that stubborn. I still think the concept is very valid. And what happened was, about more than a year ago, I encountered a former colleague of me, and he said, "Oh, Dirk, and really, you have to believe this. This is really how it went." He said, "Dirk, how coincident that you walk in right now. A couple of days ago, we have been talking about you to help us starting up our business." Okay. What business would you like to start up with, and what ideas do you have? And these were professors. They really love talking themselves and to explore their ideas, but also very suspicious. But he trusted me, and he told a story, his idea, And soon we started to interact, and we really made something out of it. And I said, okay, well, this is my idea I would like to start up with. What about combining this in I help you with your business to start up, and we'll take it from there. I said, okay, we have a Dutch saying, voor niets gaat de zon op. I don't know what the English saying is for that. If anyone can help me out of that, you may. The sun rises for free. That's a free expression. And they said, okay, yeah, I can pay you something for that, but then you have to be registered as a company. And then I thought, okay, this is the moment I have to go live to start up my business and take it from there, and we'll see where it ends. So that was the start of my company called 𝗬𝗘𝗏𝗥, and but I was taken that much by the work for that customer that I could not launch my website, because I considered that much more important for a next client.
So he's kind of your, I mean, kind of a testimonial for the idea and helping someone with an idea create something from it.
Yeah.
And then from, I mean, I guess it's nothing related to anything pharmaceutical or anything like that.
No.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's completely different to what you're doing. And the idea could be any idea for any type of person. Right? Because as Einstein said, we're all born with imagination and creativity. We just got to do something with it. And if we don't do something with it, then it could be the best kept secret, dead and buried. So, I mean, you want to help, like if someone's got an idea,
yeah,
what can they do with it? At least validate it or discuss it.
Exactly.
So now that you've done that, and you said that you neglected building your website, but you've actually built a website now. So in which kind of time period did all of this happen?
Well, discuss building the website, you mean?
Well, I mean, from first speaking about the idea and helping someone, and then creating the website and doing something, because you haven't given up your day job.
No, I still have my full-time job.
So this is something that you're doing in parallel at the moment.
Yeah.
But
so your business is full night job.
Yeah. Sometimes it is, yes.
yeah. So
you have to. Yeah.
Exactly. So you could probably help a lot of people here, or even people that haven't even got here yet, like with ideas and what to do with them. So tell us a bit more about how the whole concept works. So if I have an idea, or someone here has an idea, and they contact you,
yeah,
what actually happens?
What happens is that the platform I built is a kind of community-based platform in which each member can set up his own forum, and he or she can manage this forum completely by himself, and allow people to join, or if necessary, kick out people if they misbehave. And there people can there's only a short notice about the idea, and if you have friends or whoever, you can let them join in the community. It sounds a bit like @nest, I have to admit. And before I never heard about @nest, but so I thought to myself, okay, people can join. They can meet friends, invite people to join, and there they can interact on their own community. The idea, and the fact is, and I maybe and you probably can confirm this, is that when do ideas raise? That's not at the moment when you're under full pressure or under full tension, when you're stressed. No, these ideas appear at the moment that you start relaxing, that you walk outside, that you do your cycling, running, sports, when you go to the toilet, or when you're under the shower. At that type of moments, that kind of moments, then these ideas appear, and then you have suddenly find the solution. So in your mind, there is a moment that your brains let it go, and then apparently these ideas appear. So the concept is so that you can write down your ideas at any moment. So you can pick your mobile, type in your idea, post it, and the one into your community gets an email. Okay, Dirk has posted an idea on this topic, or a next step on this topic, and you see directly the concept. Oh, wow, did you think of that? And then someone else can react directly on it. So, and to my experience, this gives a very good interaction and a very relaxed approach of improving an idea. Sometimes you have to put it in a cooker and on high pressure to get somewhere, but it's also very good to let it rest and evolve as such.
So, yeah. So just looking at that, I mean, people say you should always take a notepad and pen to bed, because you normally like wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, and then by the morning you've completely forgotten that you even had an idea, right? And it could have been a great one, but you didn't write it down, and you forgot that you even woke up, right? Which is usually my problem. I forget I went to bed. I said, did I go to bed? It feels like I haven't been to bed yet. But nevertheless, it could happen at any time. I was always accused at school of daydreaming, but I wasn't actually daydreaming. I was thinking of ideas, and which probably be more powerful than the lesson. But I was always told I should be concentrating and not daydreaming. But that's another story. So within this, I mean, people have ideas, and we all have ideas at some point, whether wacky ones or ones that could be of some use. So is there a way then to kind of qualify and look at, right, I have this idea, is it a community that would help me with that? Is it you that would help me with that? And how does that work?
In both ways. It could be me helping out, but also the community itself. And I think the power is in the community itself. I can do it not on my own, by far not. I have no experience for ideas on a great meal or things like that. That's not my expertise.
Right. So yours is more creating the platform to enable that, and also facilitating this as well.
But
so then,
but from myself, that I'm rather open and can think along with other people on their ideas.
Right. So then how, I mean, if you were to then move into this as a business, how would you monetize that?
Can you rephrase it or say it?
Yeah. If you were to give up your day job, right, and then focus 100% on doing this, how would you make any money doing it?
Post the question on his forum and you will get feedback. How to monetize, and people will tell you how to do it.
Well, that's one thing is simply by a membership of this community.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. And the other one is my consultancy.
Okay, so I know you mentioned about there's some similarities before you even knew about 𝗪𝗪𝗧, that there's some things that are similar. And yeah, I encourage, if you haven't already, then to be speaking with Johan and others, because it shouldn't be seen as that it's competitive. It should be complementary. It should be seen that, like, how could we leverage on 𝗪𝗪𝗧 to promote the ideas, okay, and how can vice versa. So you can, I mean, like this session now, I mean, we're obviously promoting what you're doing, so we want people to go and see and join and everything else. But you could also bring some of that within 𝗪𝗪𝗧, so you can have another audience here and a platform that's actually using it to promote what you're doing and your website and everything else.
I totally agree. That's also the reason why well, initially I had some doubts whether or not to join 𝗪𝗓𝗪, but I thought, okay, this is the next level of what I have built. So why not?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a friendly bunch here, so you're in safe hands anyway. So at this point, I mean, yeah, I could ask lots more questions and everything else, but I want to open it up for the audience. I know Bojan has already jumped in, but I mean, for the rest of the people in the audience, that you can also ask questions as well. And also, Dirk, if you want to ask them a question, I mean, like, have you ever had an idea in your life, which I guess everyone will put their hand up, and have you ever done anything with that idea, or did you have multiple ideas? And yeah, kind of the floor is yours to ask them questions, and also for people to come off mute and ask you.
Well, I have, if I may start, did any one of you ever had an idea and did have that much of, people saying don't do it, that you still were stubborn enough to continue?
Absolutely. It happens all the time, huh?
But I guess, Johan, you're in a similar position.
Yes.
Because you were for many, many years in something that's completely different to what you're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I had a big high-flying job in a fast-moving consumer goods company for 20 years and left that and felt very stubbornly that very similar to what you have described, Dirk, is also what I want to try to push forward. And the fact that so many people have great ideas, but as you said also, James, a lot of those ideas goes to the grave, right? And it's just a shame.
Yep.
And I've spoken to hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who have said, I have a great idea. And then when I say, great, tell me about it, many of them say, no, I can't tell you because then you might steal my great idea, right? And it's just painful to see that we are not in a situation where we can trust each other, and an idea, the way I see it, is basically worthless until you can show that you can implement it, right? And nobody is good enough to be able to be an expert on everything by themselves, and nobody has enough time to do everything by themselves. And that's exactly why I've also created 𝗪𝗪𝗪. And I don't see it at all as competition or anything like that, of course, because the more we are together, it's exactly what you said. 1 + 1 is 11, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly the point here, right? We all have great ideas, and if we keep it to ourselves, not much will happen. That's why we need to bring it out. We need to discuss it. We need to create more successful entrepreneurs, because let's face it, in today's society, we cannot trust on the big organizations to hire the world population. We cannot trust our governments. It's going to have to come down to entrepreneurship being the future of work. And we can make it happen if we work together. And that's really, I am a firm believer of that. And I've had a lot of ideas over the years, and it's very hard to get it going. And that's really the point. Just by starting to get things going, that's the only way of really being able to get ahead here, right?
Was also the reason that I, at a certain moment, said, okay, I've been doubting or waiting too long. This is the moment to go for it.
Yeah, I also like the idea. Saying we're going to be saying idea all day now. I mean, even if you did something that was similar, it'll never ever be the same, because it's you. It's you behind that. So if I did a program, or I did this like show, and someone else said, "Oh, I'm going to do a featured business as well," right? It might look the same, but it doesn't have me in it. And I like to think that my show is special because of me and how I do it. It might not be everyone's cup of tea. It might not work for other people, but I like it, and I do it my way. Yep. So when you have your ideas and what you want to do, it's because of you, and people will resonate with you because of that.
Yeah.
And then you'll create a community of people that like what you do.
Yeah. it's about finding the trusting people to have around you, and then discussing with those and finding complementary elements. It's like what you said, Dirk. I mean, you're finding complementary ways of delivering different things, and the same with James. I know James and Pete is starting to work together. I think Rowana is looking for support for the 𝗓𝗏𝗏 area, and I think you've started discussions with Bojan and so on there.
Yeah.
I think Sheldon and James, you're in discussions. Yeah, there's really quite a lot of different opportunities. Just if we start with a spark and start to try to take the right steps forward, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Also, if you look at, I mean, we've had Sheila as a guest, but also Sheila as a singer. So, I mean, we've even in these conversations had ideas of doing something else because of the conversations in a way it stimulated something else. Then it's about looking at it and could we do something with that idea, and then how do we do it? And you know, trying to expect the one person to try and do it all is way too much. It's overwhelming, and then you think, well, I'll not bother. But if we, as a community, said, well, I can do that bit, I'll help with that bit, and yeah, I can do that bit, then we can make anything possible and create more magic. And if we're all like-minded, then that works. So anyway, Dirk, this is for you. So have you got any other questions to the audience?
Me to the audience, I'd like to have some questions from the audience.
Right. So I would like to think, I mean, everybody's had an idea. So, I mean, maybe, I mean, Sheldon's had some ideas to do things with the Caribbean. So I want to be involved in that. I want to be involved in things that everybody does, but I just don't have the time to do everything. But as a community, we could all do something and chip in here and there and so on.
Actually, I've got a song if someone wants to sing it.
You've got a song.
We're kicking from 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏, we're kicking at high carbs.
A jingle, huh?
Yeah, well, no, it's a full song.
Ooh, wow.
Go back to the basics. Put grandma on your best. Good fat in the morning just gives you such zest. Sheila, do you want to sing my song?
Yeah, Rowana, weren't you in a backing band, or was that someone else I was thinking of?
No, it definitely wasn't me.
Oh, no.
So Dirk, what are you missing? What do you need right now? What are you looking for? More people to join your network, or to bring up their ideas to you, or sort of where are you? And are you considering potentially then moving away from your day job, or how seriously are you considering different things here?
Yes, I do consider to move away from my day job, but especially in the current situation, it's a bit tricky. And nobody knows currently what COVID crisis, what the crisis goes to. Hopefully there's a vaccine soon. But still, it's an important income for me at the very moment. And I believe that the concept itself, as soon as it's running, then it goes. But there's the difficulty. The difficulty to start is to start it going. So it's simply a matter of people start using it.
I have a message to you. Just do it.
Yeah.
Are you going to look for investors also, Dirk, in the future?
Yeah. Can you repeat that, Gert?
Oh, sorry. Are you also going to look for investors in the future?
Yes. I think that's a possibility. If that's necessary to make it grow, yes, and an investor is certainly welcome.
Yeah, I was just thinking also, I mean, with the community of people that you get together, I mean, you could host your own event like this, but with the idea to help people with ideas, right? So who could come in and support that? So like you said, that if you want to create something that maybe it's software development or build an app, then Bojan is your man.
Thank you. I should pay you a commission at least for all the references.
Yeah. If you want someone to help you with your brand, then Pete is your man.
The first, yes.
Yeah. If you want someone to help you with your diet and your well-being, Roanna is your woman, not your
I
man.
think that the puzzle is.
I just help you to find fabulous food that rocks your body.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, without going around everyone, but I mean, you could see how you could create a community, and you think, well, right, maybe we're helping one person. What about the next guy? So I think, well, who's got an idea as well? And think, okay, well, let's see, who can we help there? If it's not a person on this call, but we know someone that we can bring into this call, then you bring them in as well. This is just a thought. I was going to say idea, but I don't want to keep using the word idea all the time. So, yeah, but I mean, you also have your own ideas on how to do that, Dirk.
Well, for me, this is also the reason that I started to launch it already. Just give me feedback on the concept and we'll see where it goes. That also helps the concept to evolve.
So I like it in the way that, I mean, I've always throughout my life had an idea or something, like either as a kid and then you're with a group of kids and we're all sitting there bored, and then someone says, I have an idea, and it's either to play a game or get into mischief or something, but it starts with, oh yeah, I have an idea. Whether you do anything with it is another thing, but yeah, even going through work, I've been in corporate companies and think, oh, I have an idea how to make this better, but nobody's interested in how would you get your voice heard? Oh, there's no forum for that, so forget that idea, and then you do. But yeah, there's so many things that you can do if there's a place that you can go to share that idea. And that's exactly what you're creating.
Exactly.
Well, the good thing is, I think that, of course, everything starts with an idea, but then this idea needs to mature, needs to be reshaped, and also if it becomes a business or whatever, it's living like with the circumstances around the world around. So, but it's important to, if it's only in your head, it's one brain. It's like mosquitoes. It's very interesting. Mosquitoes, when they fly in the cloud, they're like communicating. They're like one bigger brain. And this is proven that they think together. It's getting smarter.
Yeah. But I think a lot of the problem, what causes the fear and why people don't do anything or they procrastinate over it, is that they might have an idea, but they have zero idea on how to move that forward, right? So there might be the ideas person. I mean, as we discussed, like with persona types of people, but they're not an implementer. I have no idea what to do next. I don't know who I talk to, who to share it with. And if someone said that it's a good idea, go and do it, I think, well, I don't know how to do it, right? So that is maybe kind of the big problem. So this is what you're trying to solve as well, that if you have an idea, don't worry how wacky or bizarre or good it is. We're going to help you with that idea.
Are you going to implement it also in your service, Dirk? How to take away the fear from the idea, as James just said?
I think that.
No, seriously.
No, I totally agree with you. That's something that's really necessary, because people somehow in this daily life at the very moment, people are very hesitant and suspicious to share their ideas. So you have to solve that first. Otherwise, they won't share the idea.
Yeah, or they have an idea and they think, well, it's not a good idea, let's not do it.
Well, that's something you can coach.
It's about building the trust between the people, right? And having the open-minded and people with the same attitude and mentality getting together and create the synergies instead of duplication. So very much true. Yeah.
And also the trust in yourself, of course.
I mean, an idea might not be a good idea to some, but it could be a great idea to others. So it's about kind of sitting down and kind of thrashing it out and brainstorming and saying, well, actually, it's not a bad idea. Maybe if you tweak it a bit here, it could be a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why in a business situation, it's important to listen very carefully, and also
Objectively, yeah.
Exactly, objectively, and also to the people who have maybe a very small contribution. They might have, because they look at the situation from a complete different angle and experience, they might come up with the solution. So you really have to be open for suggestions from everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot to tie into it.
Mess, right? That might become a mess, so you have to manage that a bit. But
yeah. I have to say one thing regarding Bojan here. So Bojan made a comment to me a couple of weeks ago, actually, and he said, so EntNest is, instead of a blockchain, it's based on a trust chain. And that was the most insightful thing I've heard in a very, very long time. So I really love that. And it's such a small piece, just a one-word comment, basically. And it can really take, if you implement something like that, a small comment by somebody can really go a long way, right?
Yeah, because the idea about the EntNest is that the membership is only by invitation. So when you invite, you think about who you invite. It's similar to, like, if you give a recommendation to somebody, it should be really trustworthy. Otherwise, next recommendation will be worthless. But EntNest is really like a chain. So Johan invited me, I invite somebody. So Johan has, because knowing me, has quite good reasons to trust the other person. And then it's, or if somebody in my invitation fails, then trust is quickly.
Yeah. And that's the same with Dirk. I mean, you were invited by Joost, right? And he's a great guy, amazing, right? And it's really a way of moving forward. I think everything now starts with trust, and we have way too little of it in social media and society today. And it's part of what needs to be very solidly built up, and it cannot be jeopardized. I mean, if somebody breaks that trust, we need to take action, I think, quite swiftly. So yeah.
We've just got a few minutes to go now. So Dirk, so what is it that, is there anything that you need from us as a group? Can we help you with anything?
Well, if people can just visit my website and start.
We need the link. We need the link. Post it in the.
I'll post it in the chat, and it guides itself. It's very clear how to use it. And I simply need feedback on the usage of the community. And that would help me a lot. And it's also simply a matter of using it as such.
So you can join free and you can set up your own profile?
Yes, you have a free trial, yes.
Right, I've just done that now, actually. Is it only in Dutch at the moment?
Yes, it is. But I can...
I have Google Translate.
Yeah, Google Translate, but when you get into the community, then
I already know if you put your Google Chrome on English translation, then it's all go.
Yeah.
All right.
It should translate it itself.
Right. So you're going to provide, I mean, if you provide them in this chat, then I'll copy them over. But if you provide them in the event chat, which is easier and better, then that links straight to your profile as well. You can point people to your profile. You can put, so in the EntNest event itself, and then people can chat there. Otherwise, it's lost within this, because this isn't connected.
Already in the chat box of this meeting.
I mean, well, I can copy it over. That's not a problem. But it's better to put everything in the EntNest event. I mean, okay. we will move over. Maybe we'll start from next week actually, and use the EntNest to do this.
Would be very helpful if you could copy that into.
Yeah, I'll copy that over anyway. So
is it in your profile, Dirk?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if people want to reach out to you, then I'll make it available. So it's in the event itself.
Yeah.
They can also reach out to you from your personal profile, which is there as well. You get a badge for being my guest speaker. So that's something else. Boyan, did I give you one? I can't remember. Did you get one?
I think yes, but
Okay. Well, I should take it away because you interrupted before the anyway, so yeah, and yeah, if there's, I mean, feel free to reach out to people here, because it's the whole idea is creating a community. Maybe people who can partner with you or like the idea, want to discuss an idea with you, just help you on your journey as well. And speak with Johan as well, because it's not about competing, it's about working together. So maybe you could even have your own program, kind of like something like this, but just with a bunch of people, even us. I would more than be happy to join, and then we can just have a discussion around ideas and things like this in a call like that.
Yeah,
so
we should definitely do that. Yeah.
So any final words, Dirk, from you?
No, I would like to thank you all for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your feedback, and we'll see it from there. We'll take it from there.
Excellent. So it's been, Dirk has been our 25th guest. So I'd like to thank him. It's a great insight into a bit about you personally and how you got into this. And I wish you all the success. I've joined as well, and yeah, be happy to follow and see what I can do to contribute. Thank you again to our audience, the loyal ones that are always on every week, and the new ones. And yeah, feel free to be also a guest in our next one if you want. So we already have guests lined up actually up until mid-December, but Rohan, it'd be nice. I think we've already set, did we set a date? I can't remember, but anyway, Rohan, for a date for her, and 𝗪𝗘𝗔𝗖𝗛 is going to be a guest as well. So that's another good one to look forward to. So you don't have to have a business to be a guest, but you should be kind of entrepreneurial mindset at least. Right. Anyway, with that, I wish you all a fantastic weekend and see you all this time next week. And thanks again,
thank
Dirk.
you. Bye.
Okay, ciao.
See ya.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
In.